26 regular season races have come and gone, but the NASCAR Cup Series still had to determine their last playoff spot by just a few feet. Welcome back to the Breaking Bob channel. Hope y'all are doing well on this Saturday night, probably Sunday morning or Sunday night by the time you're watching this. It's Daytona. It's the end of the regular season, 26 races. We've made it. It's finally time to look to the playoffs, but as always, of course, if you're new here, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a thing as far as NASCAR content on a daily basis here at the Breaking Bob channel. A lot of content to come the next few weeks as we ramp up the championship contention in the NASCAR world. But let's put a bow on the regular season. The Daytona finale, the Pepsi 400, I want to call it. Oh my goodness, the Coke Zero 400. My gosh, I've been watching too many classic races. The Coke Zero 400, where it lived up to what we thought it could be potentially. One of the better next-gen races on a super speedway. And somehow Ryan Blaney comes away as the winner. If you looked at 5 to go, wasn't even a factor in this race. But young Ryan Blaney takes the checkered flag. Penske is, they won the first next-gen race at the Daytona International Speedway with Austin Cindric winning the 500. They've been dominant on these drafting-style tracks. But it seems like the more they're dominant in a race, they don't win the race. And tonight at Daytona, Penske didn't have the speed and the dominance. They didn't have their cars just all the way at the front like they normally do. Joey Logano was leading for a lot of that stage 3. But they weren't just the class of the field. And somehow Penske was the winner today. So it just goes to show the luck that it takes on some of these drafting-style tracks. Ryan Blaney, he used Cole Custer. He and Cole Custer teamed up in those last few laps to work their way through the field. And then when Cole Custer and Justin Haley started battling on the backstretch on the final lap, Ryan Blaney, opportunistic on the top of on the high part of the track, somehow got his way into the part where he could lead 4 wide at the line. It was a tight finish there. If you look at that final freeze frame there, the top 6, I think it is, 4 of those drivers hadn't won this year. Ryan Blaney and Kyle Larson were the only finishers in that top 6 that were in the playoffs. You've got guys like Daniel Suarez, Justin Haley, Eric Jones, Chris Buescher in there. Alex Bowman's the one that ended up getting himself into the playoffs because of that half of a car length that Ryan Blaney won by. Alex Bowman owes Ryan Blaney a nice steak dinner. Entire 48 team, their playoff lives are owed to Ryan Blaney. And honestly, the irony there is not lost on me because Alex Bowman getting DQ'd from the playoffs last year got Joey Logano and Team Penske into the championship contention after they were eliminated at the Charlotte Roval. So I guess maybe it comes around a little bit there. But for Ryan Blaney, it's great momentum as his second win of the season. He started on pole after the qualifying was rained out, but don't know how he pulled this one off, to be quite honest with you. You look at so many moments there in the last few laps. If anything changes, we could be looking at a completely different playoff contention. You could have Justin Haley in the playoffs. You could have Daniel Suarez in the playoffs. Somebody in the late 20s in the regular season standings was going to be able to knock themselves into the playoffs and knock out potentially Alex Bowman, but not to be. It always felt like the stakes were high tonight, but it really felt like things got serious when Joey Logano was spun from the lead. Not spun. I don't even want to say spun from the lead. He got loose. Eric Jones never touched him, but Joey Logano spun coming off of turn 4 and leading the race, was in control of stage 3. As soon as he went out and had to go to the back of the field, that's when it was game on there. I think it was Eric Jones and Justin Haley were 1-2 to lead the restart on that next restart there. It shaped up to be exactly what you want from a regular season finale. And there was that big one, I think it was on lap 24. It was early on in the race that took out a lot of good cars. It definitely seemed like, there was a lot more of contenders for the win today that maybe not necessarily are usual suspects in the drafting style tracks. And, Justin Haley, decent pedigree. Eric Jones, decent pedigree on these drafting style tracks. But historically, the last 2 or 3 years in the next-gen car, they haven't been just running consistently in the top 5 or top 10, like a Ryan Blaney, like an Austin Cindric at Team Penske. So it seemed like it was all stakes to the wall here. It was all or nothing for these teams. And you look at that final frame, like I said, all those drivers that could have been in the playoffs are just going to be looking at that frame, thinking about so many different moves on those final laps, thinking what could have gone different just to get them about 15 feet ahead of Ryan Blaney. And I mentioned that big one early on in the race. It was Bubba Wallace and I think Kyle Larson just kind of getting together, squeezing, coming into the front stretch there, and took out a lot of good cars. You had Austin Cindric taken out, you had Kyle Busch taken out, fighting for his playoff life. Very short night for him. Multiple different cars. I think over a dozen were involved there. Noah Gragson as well, Ricky Stenhouse, a lot of cars taken out there. And after that, it seemed like there was aggressive racing, but you were just kind of waiting for that next big one, that big domino to fall to take out more of these cars. Never really happened, which is a good thing. I'm glad to see that finish ended clean for the most part. I mean, they spun, I guess, coming to the checker, but no crashes, no damage really done. Overall, leaving Daytona, it could have been a lot worse as far as carnage, but the action was still there as far as what we got on track. And we even had Cody Ware scare us for a few minutes there. If Cody Ware had won this race after leading a career high in laps today, I think everyone would have agreed it's time to change the playoff format. Maybe that's what it may have taken. Maybe it would have been necessary, but Cody Ware, a very good drive today. He got that penalty then late in stage 2 that kind of put him in the back of the field, was never able to get back up there. But when he was running up there at the front of the field, getting pushed by Brad Keselowski, credit where credit's due to Rick Ware Racing and that 51 team. Cody Ware, when he was out front, he wheeled it like he needed to, and he earned the benefit of the doubt until he got shuffled back there. He posted on X this week about that fortune cookie, about how luck was going to turn his way. Rick Ware Racing even put out a news statement how they are in this win and you're in potential heading to Daytona. I'm sure a couple of us just thought for a half second there, after a few laps led, what would actually happen if Cody Ware had won this race? Don't have to worry about it right now, but credit where credit's due. They did run a solid race overall with that 51 team. Overall, though, this was one of the better Daytona Next Gen races we've had. It was, whether it was the urgency of the playoffs, whether it was just drivers being able to be a little bit more comfortable with a smaller field to generate runs, I'm not totally sure. But maybe we're finally getting in the right direction with the drafting style track in the Next Gen era. I don't know. You got Atlanta, of course, performing very well. Daytona and Talladega definitely lacking behind compared to Atlanta, but I think that we finally got somewhere today with less fuel save talk, less than usual, at least, especially when it comes to Daytona. The tire wear, it seemed to impact the drive longer in those green flag runs. It was less strategy. It was just drivers literally just trying to get track position today. And you were able to work your way through the field. Ryan Blaney and Cole Custer late in that final run is a perfect example of that. So, not going to quite say we're back by any stretch of the means on these tracks. Daytona is not fully back. It's not the Next Gen's bread and butter, but it's a step in the right direction today. And now with 26 races down in the regular season, we can focus now to the 10 playoff races, as of course TV wants us to do, focus on just playoffs and nothing else. I kid mostly, but the field is set now, and Ryan Blaney cut off the rest of those upset winners from locking themselves in. So Alex Bowman is that final playoff berth. Tyler Reddick locked himself in after Bowman's wreck in that big one. Reddick had a stressful start after he got taken out with Todd Gilliland, hit the nose of his car, a lot of damage, was able to bounce back. I believe he did finish on the lead lap, which is impressive enough, but stressful for Tyler Reddick to start. That you were thinking this is worst case scenario, but Reddick and Bowman able to point themselves in. So we do have two non-winners into the field of 16 for the championship contention. And let's go ahead and look at the the playoff bracket as we head to Darlington, then Gateway Worldwide Technology, and then it rounds out with Bristol in this round of 16. William Byron, of course, your regular season champion, so he will get that bonus points to start off in the playoff campaign. Huge for Willie B, also the NASCAR 25 cover athlete, so a big day for the 24 team, but he's going to have to fight off a very stacked field. He's actually tied with Kyle Larson, who are both plus 26 to the cut line. Larson stacking up stage points plus wins this year. Then Denny Hamlin, Ryan Blaney, Christopher Bell, Shane Van Gisbergen, 16 points good to the cut line. Could he survive to that round of 12, where, of course, the Roval is the final race in that second round? Then you got Chase Elliott, Chase Briscoe, Bubba Wallace, Austin Cindric, Ross Chastain, and Joe Logano all starting off good to the cut line. While Josh Berry and Tyler Reddick 1 point down, Austin Dillon only 2 points down, and Alex Bowman a 5-point deficit to start the playoff campaign for 2025. It's going to be a very, very interesting playoffs here because the margins are so tight right now. The field is so close, every position genuinely matters. It's never mattered more than this year, and it's easy to say that, but the next gen car, with the lack of innovations, these teams, there's very little areas where they can get an advantage on each other. So it's going to be very interesting to see how these points shake up. And all it takes is one bad result in these 3 races, and that could potentially do you in with how close the field is. So very interested to see what comes of the next few races. Of course, the Southern 500 next Sunday night, a crown jewel race. Excited to return to Darlington and the Lady in Black. But let me know your thoughts down below, not only about the playoff bracket, who you think could potentially be going home in that first round, but what you thought about Daytona today and the super speedway racing. Did you think we might have gotten in the right direction, or is this just some fool's gold and we'll be right back to it when it comes to Talladega and the playoffs? So make sure to like this video. If you like what you saw, subscribe to the Breaking Bob channel for more NASCAR content. It does help me out a ton. Say it every video, but I do mean it. And if you made it this far, I do appreciate your support. We will see you next time. A packed news day in the NASCAR world. I'm sure I'll have some coverage about it on the channel this week. We'll see you next time. As always, stay tuned for more. Thanks for watching.